click below to watch the original Sins video.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. We interrupt your movie marathon to remind you to prioritize your mental health.
Sponsored by fucking BetterHelp.
Also, this long take of Riddler scoping out Mayor Mitchell's house on Halloween tells you that you are about to experience a very long Halloween indeed.
I was about to take off a sin for the reference to the long Halloween, but then I remembered that you did the BetterHelp sponsor, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add another 100 sins.
Here's an open skylight, and the police will later suggest the killer entered through an open skylight. I just want to know, who fucking opens a skylight 30 feet above their living room? How do they do it? Do they have a super long tool on a stick? Do they go up on the roof? It's fucking pouring rain here in a bit, so how fast can you close this bitch when the rain comes? Imagine the real estate agent. Yes, this is the most expensive penthouse in Gotham City. It's 6,000 square feet and comes with a skylight you can choose to occasionally open about 6 inches for when you want to breeze, but only want it 30 feet above your head where it does you no good. Honestly, the skylight is the biggest fucking sin in the entire movie so far. What? I know we're less than 2 minutes in, but this is a big fucking problem. Oh, f*** off.
Opening skylights has always been a thing. Heat rises, so it gives the hot air a place to escape. They often have a crank or a motor with a linkage to open them, or you can use a long pole with a hook on the end. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that none of this is nearly as foreign of a concept as you seem to think it is.
I can't play it, but here's a sin-off for that main Batman theme. Michael Giacchino rules.
I don't want to, but I am obligated to remove a sin here for the praise of Michael Giacchino.
After hearing Batman noirate about the signal being a warning, we see one criminal that spots the light and backs away from an alley. There's no indication the bat signal is stopping tons of crime in Gotham. Is Batman trying to make himself seem more important in his own diary because he knows that asshole Alfred is sneaking peeks at it?
Did you miss the other part of this scene where a vandal is also scared off by the bat signal?
There's a lot of blood, and dude says it's from the victim's hand, but then he shows us a super clean hand, man. Sure, there's a thumb missing, but I don't see any evidence of massive blood loss.
No evidence? No evidence? But you just mentioned how the dude had his thumb cut off. That seems like the kind of thing that would probably lead to massive blood loss.
He was alive when it was cut off. Ecchymosis.
Nerd!
Everyone wearing headphones just died.
Asked him to come, Pete.
Yeah, but why? Couldn't you just share the evidence with Batman after you checked out the crime scene? Why put yourself on the line inviting a guy dressed as a bat here when you don't have to do that?
Because Gordon wanted Batman's expertise to check out the actual crime scene himself.
Maybe it's beyond saving, but I have to try. Push myself.
You just said earlier that it's a big city and you can't be everywhere, so maybe you should try to get some help. Or use your incredible money and resources to research what is the root of the problem before going out and beating ass every night.
Yes, Jeremy, that is the exact lesson that Batman learns in this movie. Good job for almost getting the point.
Wish I... No idea.
So we should definitely visit the Iceberg Lounge and beat tons of ass to get in there without a warrant, instead of just putting this photo into facial recognition software, or, simply asking people who this woman might be.
You say that as if the journey to the Iceberg Lounge was not specifically to ask the Penguin about who the woman was. He didn't start beating people up until the bouncers started getting aggressive with him.
No matter where Batman goes, it's always fucking raining.
I mean, Gotham is a rainy place.
Oh, so it's that kind of movie, is it? We've got Angel Salvador and Bullseye in this scene with vampire bat Edward Cullen. This definitely beats my fanfiction.
Yes, Jeremy, sometimes actors play more than one role. Good job for realizing that, I guess. Also, Jeremy really tried to sneak Angel Salvador in there as if anyone actually gives a shit about that character.
I love how in movies, when they're tailing someone, they just get right behind them and count on folks being oblivious. But when I'm out there driving, if a vehicle is directly behind me for more than 3 minutes, I generally assume I'm about to get murdered.
I feel like that probably says more about you than it does about anything else, because if you live in an area with a lot of traffic, then a vehicle following you for a little while is absolutely nothing out of the ordinary.
Seriously, about 80% of the crimes in Batman films could be stopped by simply removing the skylight out of a building. It would solve Batman's crime problem he worries about in his diary.
I don't think two separate people breaking into the same house constitutes 80% of all the crime in Gotham.
Riddler spent 5 times as much effort on this fake greeting card as he did on his costume. This card has raised lettering! Also, if Riddler is able to make raised lettering cards this good, those skills should be traceable. There's a scrapbooking club member somewhere that recognizes this type of raised lettering.
Jeremy pulled the idea that the Riddler made these cards himself straight out of his ass. These look like they easily could have just been bought at a Hallmark somewhere.
I need to see in there. this hunting ground.
I don't know why Batman can't just go undercover as Bruce Wayne to this nightclub that apparently brings in all the super important people of Gotham. He'd be able to recognize anyone that might have information in this case since everybody is so high profile. Why put someone innocent in harm's way?
Everyone else who hangs out at this club is corrupt, so Bruce showing up there as himself would probably have sent the wrong message.
Also, I know he's on drugs and he likes Selena, but for f***'s sake, is he taking truth serum? Does he think the rat story gives him a shot at her?
Because as we all know, people on drugs are known for making really smart decisions.
Tell me you had a relationship with her.
I don't have a relationship.
Why does Batman need to rewind this dialogue over and over and over? There's nothing you can possibly tell from it other than what she says. It's not an elevated train here to catch Richard Kimball. If I had a hypothesis, it would be that Batman is jerking off to the idea that Selena isn't in a relationship and he just wants to hear it over and over.
He's trying to determine whether or not she's lying.
Also, Batman passes out from an explosion and the cops bring him to the police station? I mean, sure, maybe the top cops are angry and want to question Batman, but in the non-movie world, even criminals apprehended on the scene of a crime are taken to the hospital if they are injured, not the police station. This is a cool scene, and I like it too, but it makes no sense.
Also, Bruce is unconscious and being held by the police for a really long time, but for some reason, no one thinks to try taking his fucking mask off. Jeremy fails to remove his sin for the absolute awesomeness that is this shot. No sins are removed for how absolutely unrecognizable Colin Farrell is as the Penguin.
Wow, Bruce Wayne / Batman is so vain he actually went to the old orphanage instead of realizing this was about him. I guess Carly Simon would say he acted the opposite of vain here, but still, he's only at this orphanage right now because he's stupidly cocky, thinking that Bruce Wayne himself could never be a target.
Well, all the Riddler's targets so far have been corrupt city officials, and Bruce is not one, so he has absolutely no reason to suspect that he would be on the Riddler's radar.
Here is the biggest cheat in all of 2022 cinema so far. The editing suggests he has a shot at getting home or calling home in time to stop Alfred from being a bomb victim, when in reality, the movie eventually shows you that Alfred had been injured long before Batman's frantic drive home, so movie is a dick.
You can call this move a cheat and accuse the movie of being a dick all you want, but you haven't really explained why this is a bad thing. Personally, I thought this moment was really clever.
I've been trying to reach you.
Like, how? Did Batman have his phone on mute?
Well, unless you think Bruce had a phone in the pocket of the fucking Batsuit, then his only phone is part of the interface of the Batmobile.
Bruce desecrates an entire room's floor simply because he's never heard of a bulletin board.
Yeah, well, this is his own house, so does it really matter?
I want to know why a guy like Falcone would owe you anything.
Because he's my father!
Yeah, dun dun dun, all that, but why did this have to be such a big secret anyway?
Maybe because Selena didn't want people to know that the city's biggest crime boss was her dad. And if you're asking why the movie itself kept this a secret, well, that's because reveals are fun.
Also, does everyone in this movie have daddy issues?
Everyone is an interesting way of describing two people.
Wayne turned to longtime secret associate Carmine Falcone and had him murdered.
The Riddler is doing a very good sins video here of Bruce Wayne's father, but there are no dings after each observation, no counter or timer, and the narration is a little uneven.
Yeah, well, at least he wasn't sponsored by fucking BetterHelp.
But he never thought Falcone would kill that man.
Now that I've heard the truth about Thomas Wayne and how he hired a gangster to help him with a nosy reporter, I've decided that I'd have liked it better if Bruce already knew this shit, owned it, and became Batman anyway. Basically what the whole Falcone-Alfred section of the movie does is tell Bruce your dad was a tiny bit less perfect than you thought. Now let's get back to the Riddler business.
Maybe you would have liked it, but that's because you're fucking stupid. The whole Thomas Wayne reveal is incredibly important to Bruce's character arc going forward.
I really think you're going to want to see this.
This is like a you're going to want to come take a look at this cliche wrapped inside a mini ex machina so that Selena doesn't kill Falcone herself and it saves her soul or something.
The cliche makes perfect sense here, because obviously this guy should not be telling Falcone about super sensitive information with Selena in the room.
Some folks want to know how all these bullets ricochet, but I just want to laugh at the futility of those bullets fired upon the Batman.
Yeah, but this shot is fucking awesome, so I don't give a shit.
I'm just gonna say it. This movie has too much in common with The Dark Knight. The filming yourself for the news was one thing, but now we have the villain getting caught intentionally. I'm not saying two movies can't have those two things in common or anything, but damn!
Except for that's exactly what you're fucking saying.
He renewed his license in 2012 at age 25. That's a common age to have to renew your license, but they renewed it for 17 more years? The f*** is up with that time length?
This sin is really weird because first off, the issue date is 2010, not 2012. But somehow, despite that mistake, you managed to get the time span before it expired right. So pick a lane, Jeremy. Either commit and claim that it was 15 years, or just get the year right. It's not like any of this has any impact on the actual point you were making.
He's got thousands.
He scrawled all over, rambling ciphers, codes.
First Zodiac and now 7. Pick an incredible David Fincher movie you want to pay homage to and go with it.
Because as we all know, you are only allowed to pay homage to one movie at a time. At no point in this video does Jeremy remove a sin for Paul Dano's absolutely incredible performance.
Well, I guess Edward knew he'd be taken to Arkham and he'd get a window seat to all the destruction he orchestrated. He really did plan for everything, didn't he?
Wow, Riddler was able to see one of the massive explosions he set off. What a strange and unusual coincidence.
Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode.
Fuck you.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. We interrupt your movie marathon to remind you to prioritize your mental health.